go to school. When my father got backstage passes for the Godfather of Soul, James Brown. I had been following James Brown since I could step. Never forget the first time I saw the Godfather of Soul was in 1968 at the Apollo Theater, and I was front row singing to all of the James Brown songs. My mother and father told me I sang so much they was getting ready to give me a paycheck that I performed harder than James Brown. But we went backstage, and I finally get a chance to meet my idol. Now, James Brown, I was damn near taller than James Brown. So my father said, you know, Brother Brown, you mind if my son could take a picture with you? I don't know, Billy, Sheree, you can take a picture. Ooh, yeah. So I took a picture with James Brown, and me and my dad left, and we was getting ready to go back to his apartment. And my father said, so, son, you met your idol. How do you feel? I said, Daddy, he stank. And my father got to laughing. He said, you mean to tell me I pulled all these strings for you to meet James Brown, and the only thing you can say is that he stank? I said, I'm sorry. The man stunk. The James Brown, he had a bad underarm problem. He smelled like a motherfucker. I'm sorry. Let's be real in the field. But that was my dad. My father, I didn't see my father that much. I talked to him on the phone because when him and my mother broke up in 1971, it was painful for me. But the one good thing, when him and my mother broke up, my father finally cut a record that was all his. And from my understanding, from doing the research on this record, this was the first disco record in 1971. And this was the song that my father recorded, which took him to places like Swing Out with Tom Shannon on Channel 9, American Bandstand with Dick Clark. This was the song that propelled him to sing on stage at the Apollo Theater. And this was the #1 gold-selling record in 1971-72. Let's take a listen.
Hey, yeah, good God, let's get up. All right. Hey, yeah, all right now. Good God, I'm ready for me now. Do the popcorn. Everybody, come on now. Come on now. All right now. Lord, it's feeling good. I need some help, Lord, from the guitar now. Come on for me, Jimmy. All right now. All right. Good God, do it. Don't wait now. Do the popcorn. Do the iron leg. Just get on time. Now come on now. Socks to me. Set the socket. Not gonna do it. Listen to me now. Let me tell you what to do. Go on and do it. Iron leg, do your thing. Loud, did you hear me? Just do your thing. All right now. Oh, good. Good on now. Get some for me. Loud, just go on and do it. Don't you wait. Just sing it to me. Lord, did you hear me, girl? Sing it to me. The iron lady, the popcorn too. We got to do it.
father finally had a hit record, but unfortunately his manager stole all of his money. But then one day I woke up and he was gone. My mother told me that he moved to Nashville to pursue his career. And like a child from a divorced marriage, it hit you hard. It hit me hard because I didn't have any brothers and sisters, but I had the music. And I remember my father bought me this sound design, the old-fashioned record player with the arm and the needle and the little gold, the little yellow disc that fit in the 45s. And before he left Detroit, he said, "Son, I'm going to cut another record just for you. Just for you, I'm going to cut this record." And before he left Detroit in 1972, he cut this record just for his buddy. After my father left, because of his music, all of the kids in the block would always want me to sing my father's songs. Got to the point that I was singing at church and I was singing at picnics, and didn't realize that my father had left me with something. Just like I didn't realize when he passed away 4 years ago that the legacy of 104.7 WLOV would be my memory to him. But the marriage between my mother and father wasn't good because, let's face it, my father was a hoe. It was said about my father that if he walked into somebody's house with the fish would stop swimming. My mother used to say my father would try to fuck a snake if the snake would lay still. But my father to me was my God. My father to me was my idol. My father could do no wrong. But he cut a record before he was gone, dedicated to the ending of the marriage to my mother. Let's take a listen. There's a lot of things that I could say about my father, but I won't, because he gave me life. And even after a terrible argument at a family reunion in 1999 in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, we didn't talk again until 2011. My father had already got out of show business and he became a minister and he was retired. He got married. He had 2 more children. And my father, when I was with him in 2011, my father was at peace. He explained to me why he abandoned me, why he didn't take the responsibility to be a grandfather to my children, what happened in the marriage between him and my mother. And God allowed me to forgive him. People have tried to say a lot of negative things about my father, but it don't bother me, because that's the man I love. And the one song that he wrote, and I have not been able to find it in his memory, I'm going to try to sing it before we get out of here. But I just want to tell anybody who's listening to this show is about the love that a parent has for their child. Regardless of what your parent has done, love your parent, because they won't be here forever. I think of my father daily. I push myself beyond means because I want him to be proud of me. And the one thing that my father told me before the last time I spoke with him is, BB, I wasn't shit as a husband and I wasn't